Hey people, Pranksman here. Give you a little update on what I'm doing with the mini bike engine. So far I got the engine block together and I'll show you. Okay, as you see, I did some work on the shroud. The shroud was all rusted up on top. I had to replace it. I pulled this one off. Actually, I cut it off and welded it onto this part here. This was off an engine. I really don't even know who made it. That's how old the engine block was. It was an all cast iron version of one of these. I don't know. Well, anyway, I got the pull start working. I had to recoil and restring it. I got everything aligned. I also added a snorkel to the carburetor. As you can see, it's all mocked up. I had to make a bracket on there. I got this from BMI with the adapter, and this is a piping conduit that I pretty much just fish mouthed it and then welded it back together. I didn't have anything to make such a sharp bend for it to follow the mini bike frame. So this one, or this tubing, follows the top of the backbone. The backbone's maybe just a little higher than this. I didn't want the air cleaner here because it would have been where you were sitting at. You could have easily ripped it off. So I got the engine block together. Oh, you could actually pick it up. By that tube, it's so strong. I got the engine block all together. I shouldn't have to take it back apart. If I do, it shouldn't be a problem. Carburetor's all cleaned out, mounted, test fitted. I got to clean the tank out because the tank was full of varnish and I don't know what was in there. I think there was water in it. The carburetor came apart. Everything was clean inside. The little fuel pump, which is right here, seemed to be working okay. I looked at the little gasket in there. It's got the two little flapper for the check valves. That seems to be working okay. I don't know. It should start right up. Except for, well, I'll get to that later. Next order of business is the exhaust. I'll be making a muffler with the design that I use for my Jeep. Basically the tank is right up under it, so the piping has to go past it, down under the seat, and then it's going to come up. So that's what this video is going to be about, making your own exhaust. I'll give you hints on how to design your own exhaust. There's do's and there's don'ts. One of them, which would be piping selection. You don't want to go too big, and you don't want to go too small on the piping because that has certain effects on the engine performance. So I'll be covering that and how to make the parts for it. First order of business is making a flange to weld the pipes to. I'll be making that out of 1.5 inch flat stock. I'll pretty much start with making a gasket and then using the gasket as a template on the flat stock. That'll give me a pattern to cut out and to drill the mounting holes. So when I come back, I'll show you that. Okay, I'm back. I got the gasket cut out, and then I traced it onto my flat stock, 1.5 inch flat stock, 1/16 inch thick. That's what I'm going to make the header flange out of. I got it traced onto it already. What I'm going to do is, I'm not going to cut it out yet. What I'm going to do is drill out these holes and drill out the center hole for the exhaust. I'm going to leave it attached on here because I need a handle for the drill. It's easier to work with if it's a big long piece, so I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I got the two mounting holes drilled, and how I'm going to be doing the big center hole is I already got one hole drilled, and I have the rest of the hole center punched so the bit doesn't wander. I'm going to drill a bunch of little holes along the inside of the perimeter of the line, and then when I get that punched out after I drill all those holes, I'm going to come in with the grinder and smooth out all the round edges. More to come. Okay, one header flange made. When you line it up, let's see. Matches up. I'll be back. Next comes the piping. Okay, I'm back. It's a different day. Working on the exhaust still. Tip for today is for the header flange, before you weld it to the pipe, make sure it's flat. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. Set the camera down. Pretty simple. Figure out which end's mounting against the engine, which is this side, and just take the file, scrape it across. You want to shine it up. Look for the shiny spot made by the file. Okay, if you look at it, the shiny spots, you can see the high spots is where the shiny stuff's going to be, because that's where the file's going to be scraping on. The low spots is going to be the same metal, the dull finish. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the shiny spot goes all the way around, and the low spot can be on the edges of the flange where the bolt goes through to mount it onto the engine. That way, when you bolt it, if it's bent a little bit, you tighten it down, it'll flatten it out anyway. So this one here, you can see it's not filed right in this spot, so that means that's a low spot. That means it's going to be leaking there. Best way to fix it, which is why you want to do this not on the engine or welded to the pipe, and put it on the engine and then find out afterwards. Best time to work with it is before you weld it to the pipe. So pretty much smash it down with the hammer on a flat metal surface, which is an anvil in my case. Then you take your file and go back at it. And as you could see, it shined it up. So that means that surface is pretty much level with the other shiny surfaces. Do that all the way around. Kind of hard to hold. One last spot to hammer down, which would be between the bolt and the opening. Usually when you get all the burrs off, you could have it in your hand and file it. Take the file, go across it. as you can see, the whole thing is shiny now, which means it is perfectly flat. And that's the tip for today. Next step would be welding the pipe coming off the engine, and right before it makes the bend, it's going to be the pipe that crosses over the gas tank. Okay, bye. Okay, I'm back. I'm cutting the rest of the pipe for the exhaust, and I'm using a 90-degree bend, and I'm cutting sections out. How I'm doing it is, okay, the first cut is pretty much flat. What I mean by flat is the pipe coming into it should fit on there flat, not compared to the other end how it's on an angle. If I were to butt up another pipe onto that, it wouldn't look right. It would be kind of downward as compared to this, where the pipe would go straight in. How you mark the line, that's where I need to make the first cut. I took a bread twister, actually two of them, tied them together and wrapped them around the pipe, and I just kept twisting and twisting them till it got tight. Now when it gets tight, it's going to find the smallest circle, right, and that'll be your square end, and that's how you would make your mark. And then you would use a hand grinder with a cutoff wheel and cut out the line, and it should be the same as that one. Let's see how it works. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I made the cut. As you can see, it worked. Here's the bread twister setup. Worked pretty good. Probably use string too, but bread twister you could twist and twist and twist to make it tighter, and it stays. You don't have to tie it like string and come loose. Also, when I made the cut, I used a cutoff wheel, and I went around it and cut the outer edge, one side only with the air cutter. I didn't cut through and work with both ends like you would with a hacksaw or some kind of a saw where you're working both ends. When it's going through, it'd be kind of hard to control the back side. That's why I used angle grinder with a cutoff wheel, because I was able to follow the line. I didn't have to worry about the other side cutting in the wrong spot. So it came out square. This is the end that I made the cut on, and when you butt them together, that's the curve. Okay, as compared to this end, how it's off. See how the curve doesn't contour? So that came out pretty good. I'll be cutting off another piece, and I'll be doing it the same way. Both ends are like that. So I'll match them up. Twisty ties. Okay, next step. I gotta cut off another piece. This piece comes off the gas tank, right behind the gas tank on the pipe, which goes under the seat, and then I'll be cutting off another section to curve it to where it'll either come out the back straight or angled up. I'll probably angle it up, that way when you attach the muffler, it'll be facing up, just like the back part of the seat. That's where it'll be behind. Okay, I'm back. I got the two pieces of tubing cut out that I want to cut to snake it around the seat. I'll sit down and show you what I did. The butt trick I showed you, if you notice how the curve is, it's nice and smooth. Another trick is marking lines on your tubing, so you know how to weld them. You don't have to have them on the bike to tack weld them. So the pipe coming off the motor, in this pipe, you notice there's a line here. What I did was I touched the two together, and I marked a line from this part to the other part, and I marked them with a number 1, so I know that's my first joint. I know this part is going to be facing the motor. Now when I pull the whole exhaust off, I'm going to be welding it off the bike, and these lines, to line up the joints, all I got to do is connect the two lines. So this is joint number 1, and then if you notice here, that's joint number 2, so I find number 2 line, square off the tubing and line the two lines up, and I could tack weld it while it's off the bike and not worry about being wrong. Also, I want to point out that this tubing that I'm using, it's actually just a piece of bent piping conduit that you could buy at the store, a 90 degree. If you notice the inside, it's oval shaped. To make it round shaped, all you have to do is just clamp it in a vise and squeeze on it, and I'll show you how to do that real quick. I don't know about quick, but I'll show you how to do it. I'll set the camera down for a second. I'd rather have the joints completely round instead of egg-shaped. Get a good picture of it. You just clamp it in the jaws and just squeeze the jaws and it'll go around. Okay. I do all the joints like that. That way when I weld them together they'll be completely round. And it shouldn't affect the lines that I just made with the numbers on there. So that'll keep down on restrictions. Flat piece of tubing sticking in the pipe, it'll slow down the flow. Okay, I'm back. I got the flange on, welded to the pipe, and I got the pipe, the two sections of pipe welded together. You can't even tell. It came out so good. I'm using Allen key bolts because of the head. It's usually a tight fit. You can't get a hex in there, so kind of works out. Muffler box is going to be here. It's going to be a square box. Tire will be off to the side. It'll be right next to the tire. I'll probably make a support for the muffler coming off the back seat here. And then when I get the muffler done, the tailpipe, and then I got to make a heat shield. Heat shield I got to put on after I mount the gas tank. The gas tank I still got to clean. It's full of gunk because it was sitting with gas and probably water. It's full of rust and varnish and stuff like that. Motor's all the way back on its adjustment. So any forward adjustment is just going to help clearance with the seat. That's how I kind of planned it. Okay. I think I'll end this video right now. I'll do this in 2 parts. The second part will be the muffler and the tailpipe and the heat shield. Otherwise, this video will probably be like an hour long. So, Frank's the man. Bye.